Greetings and salutations. This is Emperor Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the Vickers Carden Loyd amphibious tank. Sadly, the only army you can actually use this for is actually the Chinese army, because although they were made by a British Vickers company, the British army didn't pick the contract up. So Vickers ended up with a shed load of tankettes, tiny little two-man tankettes that could swim, and no one wanted them, so they sold them to the Chinese instead, where they actually came in quite handy. They're actually quite fast, believe it or not, and they can also swim, which is the buoys on the side which weight it up. They're full of air and it helps it to swim. And the tracks are also swimmable tracks as well, so you don't have to do any messing around. You can just keep the pedals going and the machine swims using its tracks. It's the same way a LTV works, because the tracks are actually designed to make the machine move forward. I'm waiting for you to say something.
What, questions now?
No, usually you say something at this point. No?
No.
Okay, you were staring at me as if you had something on your mind.
So when I stared at you, something around other than this.
There was just nothing going on in your head. Right, okay, you just blank. Okay, right, it is a light tank. So as a light tank, it has it should have 8+ save, however, or damage. However, in this particular instance, it's reduced to 7 because it is very, very light. It's a light tank, but it's got hardly any armour. It's got about the same amount of armour as an armoured car. So you really class it as an armoured car, even though it is technically a tank. Quite a few of the very early light tanks are actually basically armoured cars. So it's only got the armour of 7. It has the ability to swim, and it's only armed with a machine gun. However, a machine gun is a very useful weapon, and if you
especially against infantry.
Yeah, and if you've got something with armour of 7, which is going up against an infantry unit with no anti-tank equipment, and you've got a machine gun, your tank's going to do a lot of damage, and you can't do anything to kill it.
Yep.
So that's actually quite useful. So I like tankettes. We do early war, so obviously light tanks are mainly the main weapon you're using, and tankettes can be very useful. That machine gun is actually very damaging. So it may seem like a silly thing, why would I buy a very light tank with a machine gun? Because it works. So yeah, the Chinese army used basically all the ones that Britain built. I don't think they were sold to any other country off the top of my head. It is a while since I've researched any of this stuff, so I'm delving into the depths of my brain, and my brain is a little bit confusing at most of the times. But yeah, they were nice little tanks, very handy. And the Chinese used them either as tank units to support infantry assaults, so basically a mobile machine gun, tiny little pillbox driving across the battlefield supporting the infantry, or they would use them for police duties. So if you've got a riot going on in the street, people wanting more bread or rice or whatever it is they're after in China, you can just have one of these parked on the street corner, and people will think twice about throwing Molotov cocktails. Actually no, maybe they will throw Molotov cocktails, but maybe they'll think twice about throwing stones. Yeah, so that's basically it.
Questions?
Yes, over to questions.
Yeah, I want to explain myself why I've only got one question. I did have 3 questions, but you know how you are. You always end up answering most of them during a talk. Right, one of the questions was about who sold them. You answered that, about British. And the other one was how much they used it, and you said, oh, they always use it all the time against the Japanese.
Okay, right, sorry.
One question I do have is what material made the tank float?
These particular ones were full of air. These boxes on the side are literally boxes. They're airtight boxes, and when it goes into the water, it makes the water come right up to the level of the tank. So it looks a little bit like an American Civil War monitor, if you know what I'm talking about. So the water comes right up to the actual level of the deck of the tank, meaning it's very, very hard to actually shoot at the tank, because all you can shoot at is the turret, and the turret is more armoured than the rest of the vehicle. The main reason the Chinese liked it is because there are some areas of China which are very marshy, got a lot of little streams and rivers, which make it very hard to get around. The Japanese used to use infantry carrying poles, and the infantry would stand in the water while the tank drove over the top of the poles, and they would all hold the pole and take the weight to the tank. The Chinese didn't have to worry about that because they had swimmable tanks, which is very useful. America bought a lot of swimmable Panzers before the war, or the chassis, which they used in the Everglades, because the Everglades is all swamp, and they could use these German-built things to paddle around, which is where the LTV itself comes from. The LTV, the Landing Vehicle Tract, was actually originally designed to drive around swampland of the Everglades. Just a small bit of information, but they came very useful if you're carrying out a lot of naval landings, which the Americans had to because they were fighting in an area with lots of water. They're a very useful bit of kit. It's like a truck or an armoured troop carrier that can swim. They did the same with the Duck as well, which is a swimmable truck. I drove in a Duck once. I did at Arnhem. We were the 50th anniversary of Arnhem, and we sat in the Duck, which was quite fun. I didn't drive it, I was sat in it. I didn't actually drive it, they didn't let me near the wheel. It was 60 odd years old at that point, and they wouldn't let me drive it. But yeah, it was interesting. So that's it. Next question?
That's all.
That's it. You don't have any questions these
Well,
days.
it's supposed to be 3 questions. Yeah. No, I told you why there were 2, it didn't work.
Okay. So if you are doing a Chinese army, very useful bit of kit to have. I haven't seen any for sale in 28mm though. So these are scratch built.
Everything's army
Well, everything's scratch built more or less. Because when I started these projects, there was nothing available to buy. So I scratch built everything, and now I'm sort of stuck on scratch building stuff. So
now you've built all the stuff, and a couple of months has gone by. Oh look, they've made their own tanks now.
Yeah, they did.
Oh look, they're doing all this.
Yeah, they do the same with KV1. Banged out some KV1s, and then what happens? Warlord Games says, we're going to sell KV1s. Well, thanks. A bit late now. So, there we go. That's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and over to my trusty sidekick.
So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below if you have any questions about the
Carden Loyd. Vickers Carden Loyd.
Vickers Carden Loyd. And that's everything from me.
And that's everything from him. Good day.